Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to SHEDcast number 4 on the 8th of. I don't even know what day. Is it April? I don't know. Let's remove that from the stream. Greetings, one and all. If you're just joining us for the first time, you haven't missed much. And if you've been with us all these last 4 weeks, it's great to see you again. In the background, we have got Rob from Guernsey. Afternoon, Rob.
Oh, yeah, boys.
Howdy doody. And we've got Dan from Westbury in Wiltshire.
Hello, greetings, Marcel. What do you mean you haven't missed much? I've missed loads.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, we've covered a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to make them feel welcome, which they are. You're all welcome. It's great to see you. So, just a bit of housekeeping. As you can see, we got messages coming in. Kevin Mai on Facebook says, "Hi, Marcel." Hi, Kevin, and this is a thing here. There, Facebook user afternoon DOSCAP, which is very civilized. But if you are on Facebook with us this afternoon, can I ask you, please, just above the video link, there's a little link that says streamyard.com/. Sorry, no, that's right. Streamyard.com/Facebook. You can see it across the bottom of the screen. I can see it across the bottom of the screen, tickling along the bottom there. And even then, I'm going a bit dim. So if you can click on that, then, as you can see, we get your name and your profile picture. So hello, Kevin, and hello, Derek. Our man, Derek, just up the road, not far away, lives near my old school. It's great to have you chaps with us. And Facebook users, you can also type in a comment and it comes to us live. So everyone can join in the conversation. Right, what else? Is there any other backgroundy kind of stuff? The question is, how you doing with all this lockdown business? I hope you've got tea on board. Actually, this is coffee. Don't tell anyone. It's tea. And I've got to show you my mug because this is great. Oh, you got water, and what do you got there? That looks like a fancy tea bag, Dan.
It is. It's a kind of a. I don't know what it's called. It's called something like recovery.
I've got to show you my mug because I love this mug.
Hello.
Oh, brilliant.
Is it tea you're looking for?
Is it tea you're looking for?
No.
Very good.
Now, that's probably going to set Rob off because I know that Rob is Mr. Lyrics, song for every moment kind of guy.
Are you now?
Every now and then one comes into my head when somebody says something.
Yeah, and then like the whole lyric. It's fantastic.
We might have to have a lyric off or something. So we start one and then I'll go. I'd enjoy that sort of thing. That'd be great.
Okay, well we'll try out a bit later.
See how it goes.
Okay, every now and then I'll just toss you a subject, and it's up to the two of you to lyric off about it.
Okay.
Right. Oh, Derek. Yeah. Derek says, "Oh lordy."
Oh lordy.
Yeah. Well, you know how it's going to go. Cool. And we've got JP in the background. He's not sitting in the background at the moment, but he's over there somewhere. And I get a private message from him that says that I nearly ended the broadcast.
Oh, that's not nice.
Nice one, JP. Thank you very much.
Click on the comment, and then right above it is end broadcast.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, there is that button up there that next to the comments button, it says end. Oh, yeah, that's dangerous. If you,
It's like Father Ted. Whatever you do, don't press the red button.
this one,
The red one.
fantastic. Okay. What else is to say? I've got tea and I've got biscuits this week. I don't know what you've got.
No.
Oh, you're being very disciplined.
No, they just haven't given me any.
The staff.
That's all you do is seem to eat. Goes from one meal to another meal.
I'm totally with you there. I'm struggling for like creative cookery ideas. We need to get Neil back on from the show a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
With like nifty ideas. I need to tap him up about that.
Needs to
Oh, yeah.
teach us to make some biscuits.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you got a shortage of yeast on the island? Because you can't get yeast for love nor money here at the moment. And I have one packet of breadly yeast left, and I split it. I made a loaf, and then I made a sourdough starter. So I've made sourdough bread this week. Awesome. Thoroughly recommended. It's alive, and it's in my office.
My
get some,
daughter-in-law makes bread and biscuits. So,
and where's she now?
There. Probably next door making biscuits.
Great. Right, get her in.
Or a cake for my grandson's birthday on Saturday.
Oh, splendid.
How old?
He's going to be 5.
Should we do it?
We live next door to each other, and we've also got a 7-year-old. So you can imagine my life these past few weeks have been hell.
Goodness, I'm up for a happy birthday. If you are later, we'll do that.
I don't know where he is. I can't find him.
Dan, I notice you're getting straight in with the song for every moment there, but I don't think happy birthday counts.
All right.
It's
Okay.
a bit obvious.
Do you have to wash your hands to happy birthday or something?
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah. Oh, I won't say that. I'm not going to say that. I had a thought which I must let go. Fly.
So we're talking about food just a moment ago. One of my favourite YouTube channels to watch is a guy called AVE in Canada. His language, I'll just disclaimer, his language is fruity, but he is an absolute wordsmith. The way that he cultures words and then mashes them into sentences is quite remarkable. But yesterday he published a video that did some machining on his big CNC metal machining machine, the Haas machine, I think it is. And he didn't disclose what he was making until right at the end. And I think this surely can fit for a lot of us who find ourselves in this time at home and just too close to the cupboard. So this video was all about him saving himself from himself. And this is the final shot of his video. You are not hungry, you are bored. And I had to put that one across my son's JP's bowels yesterday as he was making himself yet another something in the kitchen. It was, you're not hungry, you're bored. And I know what that's like. But I'm generally not that bored at the moment. Still 4 weeks in, and Dan, are you the same? You've been doing the SHEDcast, not SHEDcast, Shed Happens radio program. How's that going?
Yeah, it's sort of UK shed show. Shed Happens, and Patrick from Froome Shed, who's handling the project really. I know Patrick since early 2015 we met, and at the Froome Shed, and he introduced me to the shedding over here, and it was him that phoned me up a few weeks ago and said, Dan, I've got this project to do. Fancy giving me a hand? And I immediately knew what it might entail, and I mean I couldn't say no. It's been brilliant, but it is exhausting. I mean, you're doing a fab job there, and you've got to grips with all the new technology yourself, which has been
still fun,
which has been no, but it's great. But we're doing presenting, we're doing some interviews, we're doing filming. I've even done a little movie. I put that on the Guernsey Facebook about interviewing some shedders in Hawaii last week, which was just, I mean, it's a privilege. It's a complete privilege. How could you say no? But as a volunteer, complete volunteer, and as a somebody who really loves to do these kind of things, I couldn't say no. But it is exhausting. It really is.
Yeah. I saw your video, and I saw your link to Hawaii and so on. But Hawaii is lovely and all that, but you are talking to Guernsey right now.
Do you know, I have to say that my connection with Guernsey goes back to, and I think we're going to see a picture of it later. I got one of the things that I do, because I'm actually a furniture designer maker by profession, and I've been self-employed forever. So why I bothered getting qualified in the first place, I don't have a clue really looking back on it. But one of the things that happened to me over the years is a local chap knocked on my door and said, "I hear you make things out of wood." And I went, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Right." He said, "Do you want to buy my skittle business?" And I said, "Probably not." But let's have a cup of tea. And I got talking to this lovely fella, George Mason is his name. He's going back about 12 years. And he invited me down to his place just down the road here. And I ended up buying that off him. And that was my connection. 2 years later, I got a call from someone in Guernsey saying, "Yes, we'd like you to replace our skittles, please." So me being me, I immediately went off, did a special little flag for them and a special little logo with the Durapin skittle logo, because it's only a small business. I don't make more than, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 sets a year or something. It's not like loads, but
there it is.
But yeah, no, it's good. I made them, and well, I might tell the rest of that story later.
I'll jam in the picture now, just because.
Oh, you get it? Yeah.
This is your little logo.
Yeah, look at that. Eh? Look at that.
Guernsey.
I do not do things by half, and I even spelt it correctly.
You didn't spell it Jersey.
I didn't. No. Well, I mean, there's a GUER, isn't there? This is. I think I got it wrong once and had to redo it. But this was a little logo that went on the crate that the Skittles go into, and so I just thought I'd do that as a little sort of welcome to you and thank you for finding me, and I hope you appreciate it. Unfortunately, it turns out they use much larger Skittles on Guernsey in the few places that have Skittles, and so much as I might even be able to name drop her. I wonder if she's still around. Tina, it was, wasn't it? Tina Browning. So if anybody knows Tina Browning, who lives near Les Anville, is it?
Yeah,
quite near there.
Yeah.
It was at the Sarnia Skittles Club. And she thought she was doing the right thing for everyone, and she talked to people in the club, and they'd all agreed. But when they actually had one Skittle up against the other one, they decided at the end of the day that they didn't want the little ones. I don't think they're little. I have to make them.
More of that later. We'll be coming back to Dan. Thank you. Good story. But let's get Rob back in. I thought you'd fallen off for a moment.
Yeah, I disappeared for a bit. I don't know why. It just went. Oomph.
It's not wee time yet.
No, I had the how to do it and everything on mine. I don't know. Anyway, yes, back.
It's all cool.
Yeah.
It's all cool. Right, Dan, I'll kick you off and bump you into the background for the time being. We're going to talk tractors.
I like tractors.
Fantastic. So, Rob, what have you been up to? You said you got grandkids there, and you said your life has been hell. I think I'm quoting you there. But in reality, I think it's fairly safe to say you haven't been in the house very much.
No, well, what's about a month ago or so, we bought ourselves a tractor. Well, just before Christmas, we bought ourselves a tractor. Time goes so quick now. And we decided, it was one of those grey Fergies. It's a 1947, and my son and I, who lives next door, we decided we're going to take it to pieces, which is what we do a lot over here in our back garden. We do it with cars and we do it all sorts. Anyway, when we took it to pieces, we found there was an awful lot wrong with it. It needed cleaning out because in the gearbox alone, there was probably about 40 years of mud and grime. The bloke had some work done on it by somebody over here who does tractors. I won't name their name. Put a new clutch on it, but they didn't renew the oil seals going through to the gearbox. So oil came out and ended up all over the clutch. It was a very weird experience when that happens because it goes from going stop quickly, and it goes from stop to going very quickly when you let the clutch out. We could not stop it from wheeling in fourth gear. The thing went up 2 feet every time we took off. So we decided, yeah, we're going to take it apart. So that's what we've been doing. This is what you can see now is the gearbox and the back hydraulic system. It's in 3 pieces. I mean, it's so easy to work on. It's just ridiculous. In the old days, they certainly knew how to engineer things to make life easy. I mean, what you see there is the back axle. So on the back of that, the big back axles go. On the front of it is where the engine goes. And the front suspension is joined to the engine. So to take it apart, it's 3 pieces. So we've done that. We're going to totally strip it, clean it. And as you can see, we've got a lot of it out now. We've taken off the front of it because it's as rusty as anything. And surprisingly, we can get nearly every part for that tractor.
That's amazing.
You know, it's it's ridiculous. 1947, and you can get everything you need. And there's a few places that do it. But if you go online, you go into YouTube, there's a guy in Australia, and he's just sensational. He goes through everything. He does the whole job in front of you and tells you what you can do and how to do it. You know, it's really great. The wheel you can see there is actually one of the first wheels that were made for the machine, because it was actually made in America to start off with. Ferguson, before the war, went over to America. I don't know why he went to America. Probably couldn't find anybody over here in England, and spoke to Henry Ford and said, I've got this idea for a tractor. It's small, it's easy to use, it's easy to maintain, and I reckon it would sell well. So Ford said, yeah, no problem, we'll make it. So the first one, so the first ones were made in America, and that wheel is one of the first ones because there's no slots in it. So we're now going to find a wheel that's the right one for our tractor. But like I say, the parts are so easy to get a hold of.
That's amazing.
So moving on.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Rob.
Gone again. Yeah.
I'm laughing.
Falling over.
We've got 2 chickens now. We've had them for about a week. And they have a penchant to just walk in. So we've been trying to discipline them and go, out, fine. But they're not always wise to that. So we've been putting up a barrier just at the sort of patio door there. Yeah. And Speckles is just flapped up against it and knocked it over. And now she's just there. She's just walking on in. If I could flip the camera around, I'd show you. But I haven't got my camera available. But
is that as wide as a chicken walk into the house?
Yeah. I'll carry on playing the video, and I'll see if I can get this up on the camera. Yeah. Carry on, Rob. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. Okay. So,
let's see if I can play. There we go.
In the shed. Where's the shed?
It's just coming up in a second. There you go.
Yeah. Now, so this is my shed, and there's the petrol tank. And what I've started to do is strip all the paint off the tractor. That's part of the front suspension there. As you can see, there's the 2 where the wheels go onto, and then you've got the bit that joins onto that bit as well. And I've started to clean it up. I've got the sandblaster there, which is great for the little stuff. But I bought myself a nice wire wheel brush, and honest, if you ever have to take any paint off anything, that's the thing to get a hold of, because boy, does it strip. it takes off the paint and all the rust and takes it straight back down to the metal. Brilliant. But then again, you find the holes that you didn't realise that were there, where the rust has gone through. And as you can see, Marcel, I have my safety equipment, my goggles, my
So pleased to see. Very good.
everything right. And we've taken a few parts, as you can see, stripped them all down and coated them in anti-rust. We're slowly going through it. We've still got a lot more to do yet. Well, that's just me doing that. Nobody else wants to do it. And as you can see, my shed is now in a total mess. I can't get to anything. And there's the vase that I started a few weeks ago, but that won't be done now. But the wood was a bit wet, so at least it would dry out. Something to do. And I've got some more of it, some more logs. This is from the hawthorn bush that I had in the front. So, you know, it was growing pretty well. It's been there a few years, and I got some nice 5-inch logs out of it. So that's going to be great for more vases. Here we have the engine for the tractor.
Right.
Now, the engine is, again, like I say, it's so easy. It's actually a weird engine, because the engine block isn't a block. It's 2 cast sides welded together. And the cylinders, rather than being bored into the solid, there are cylinders that are pushed down inside. The pistons go up and down on. Now, these cylinders, people know that balls get damaged or old in time. So what you can do with those is you can just pull them out and put new ones in. And like I say, we can get everything for the engine. So the engine will be rebuilt. The whole tractor will be rebuilt with new bushes and everything that needs to be done to it. So hopefully when we're finished, it'll be just like a new tractor.
Fantastic. That's amazing that a 1947 tractor has still got all the parts available for it. It's so easy to work on.
Yeah, but it's amazing actually in the tractor world, because even if you go to other tractors, you know, you can get parts of them easily. Oh, there it is. That's Speckles, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing to eat in there.
You've been upstaged by a chicken, sorry.
But, yeah.
And she's done a poo.
And she's done it
on my
down
desk.
to her. Down to her.
Yeah, stage fright.
So no eggs yet, yeah?
No, we're a bit disgusted actually. Really, you know, we've got 2 chickens, and we've done the sort of trick that I've heard about, putting an egg in the caboose for them to go, oh, what's that? Oh, I think I might make one of those as well. But they haven't played ball yet. But
sometimes they take a time to settle in, I was told.
Yeah, I wondered if that might be the case.
Yeah.
We got 2, and this is Speckles, and the other one is just outside. She's called Parrot. That was named.
Now that's probably why the poor thing's totally confused. It's a chicken called Parrot.
JP likes playing a game called Minecraft, for those who don't know it. And recently on one of the YouTube channels that he follows for that stuff, sorry, it's all crazy around here. There's a group of guys that are playing, and they set challenges for each other. And this group set a challenge for one of their guys to get a pet parrot. But this guy didn't know that they'd gone round the rest of the group and killed all of the parrots. So there was only one option, and that was for him to tame a chicken. So when they came back at the end of the allotted hour game or whatever the challenge is, he'd done this challenge, done that challenge, but he had a chicken, a white one, red beak and all that sort of business. But he renamed it. He put a label on it called Parrot. So our second one is a white one with a red business on top. So we've decided that we call it Parrot.
Parrot.
It's a bit sad, I know.
But you wouldn't remember Parrot Face, would you?
Parrot Face.
There was a comedian on telly, and he used to speak like this all the time, and he used to call people parrot face. Is that you, parrot piece? That's very old, very, very old.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I
Jake,
can't remember his name.
escorted her off the premises, and then she just walked straight back in again.
Oh yeah, no worries.
What a rascal!
Right.
So, how long do you reckon it's going to take you to get this up and running? You didn't show us any back wheels there. You've got back wheels for it?
Yeah, we got all the wheels. What we bought, it had brand new tyres on it, so which was lucky. But like I say, we got to change one of them, the front one, because it's the wrong wheel. So we got to change the tyre, put the tyre on that. But we were lucky. I mean, the wheels, the tyres alone for the two back ones are £600. So I was lucky to get that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
no, hopefully, well, we were trying to get it ready for the West Show, but I don't know if the West Show is going to be on or whether it's a case of wait and see.
Yeah, that's unlikely at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, everything seems to be chopping down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's what I've been doing for mine, and it's. All the cars are nice and clean, the lawn's cut, and patios are washed. What else can we do? We'll find something more, I'm sure, somewhere.
That's good. Yeah. Well, it's keeping you busy and productively so. That's the most important thing, I think.
That's
not
right.
just keeping busy, but
it's nice to
go for it.
Think of one job a day. Right. What am I going to do tomorrow? I'm going to do this. And if you can think one job, then at the end of the day, you say, well, I've done that. It's not wasted my time.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are, the ones I feel sorry for are the ones that are going on holiday and they've, paid everything and they should be on their holiday and,
Yeah.
Yeah. And also saying,
vacation.
Yeah. And they were saying on Facebook, somebody said, every husband's going to see the real colour of their wife's hair now. So be one thing. See how grey they are.
I've had to do my own haircut. But to be fair, I always do my own haircut. Not Richard. Derek's just chipped in and said, "You've got the same lathe as him."
It is, yeah. It's nice lathe, that. It's a really nice lathe.
I take it Derek's meaning is new lathe, his new toy.
Is it? Yeah.
He's been clearing out his garage to make space for it.
Yeah. I'd like to clean out my garage to make space, but I can't get to it. Everything's in there.
I think if you keep social distancing, I think you can get Derek in to do it.
Oh, here we go again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I heard this the other day. President Trump was visiting the Queen, and he said to the Queen, "How do you manage to run an island this big? How do you know your officials and that?" She said, "Oh, it's easy." She said, "I get the top officials." So he said, "How do you do that?" And she said, "Oh, I ask them a question, and if they answer it, one of the top officials." So he said, "Oh, how does that show me?" So she said, "Hold on." So she phoned up Boris and said, "Boris, could you come over here a minute?" So Boris comes over, and the Queen looks at him and said, "Boris, if I have a mother and father, and they have a child, but it's not my brother and it's not my sister, who is it?" So Boris said, "It's me." So she said, "Yeah, that's right. There you go. You get that one. My parents have a child. It's not my brother and it's not my sister. Who is it?" "Well, it's me." That's logic. Think about it. So Trump said, "Right, okay." So when he got back to the United States, into his Oval Office, he called for his top aide. Top aide comes in. He said, "Right, listen to this. My parents have a child. It's not my brother and it's not my sister. Who is it?" The official said, "I'll have to think about that." So off he went. So Trump asked all his advisors, and nobody got it right. So his first advisor was at a pub that night and said to his mate, "Can you answer this? My parents have a child. It's not my brother and it's not my sister. Who is it?" "Well, it's me." "Oh, yes. Yeah, great." So he went back to Trump and he said, "I've got the answer to the question." So Trump said, "Great, who is it?" He said, "It's me." And Trump went up in the air. He flew at him. He said, "That's not the right answer." So the guy said, "Well, what's the answer?" "It's Boris Johnson." You've got to think about that joke. Think around the joke.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Blimey. Thanks for that.
Okay.
If anyone else has got any jokes they want to chip in, you can add a comment. If you're on Facebook or if you're viewing on YouTube, you can chip in a comment. Derek's just chimed in. I think this is him turning down the offer of cleaning your shed for you.
Oh,
That's a bit off, isn't it?
that's what I thought. That's what the shed was all about. Coming out me, I'm coming out you.
Fab. Let's get Dan back in just for a moment. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Dan in Westbury, Wiltshire, and every time I keep forgetting, I have to look at my notes here that says Westbury. I've written it on the desk.
I just wish I knew which way to go here, because I've obviously got my phone the wrong way around or something. So every time I go, it's like having, it's like doing those things like behind those tricks you do that you have to do with your arm. You know, anyway.
Well, you hold that nose, and then you put that under there, and then
that kind of thing, like rubbing your stomach.
You change over. Try it. Everybody watching, including you chaps. Try it.
After three,
hold your nose.
No, you're going to do something
And
here.
then go underneath. No, this is a question of.
Go on.
The question is, do you know where your face bits are? Yeah, right. So you go underneath it, and you got to.
You're not supposed to touch your face.
But as long as it's your own face, I think. And then change over, and then change back again. And it takes a bit of practice. That
I seem to be able to do it quite easily. Maybe it's because my camera's the wrong way around.
Must be what it is.
It's nothing to do with that.
Derek's just chipping in again to say, "I'm completely shed cleaned out."
Oh.
Does that mean he's had enough of shed cleaning, or does that mean he's cleaned out his shed?
Or the burglars have been around.
Ah, that's one way. Derek, that's what. Leave the door open and then get some other people to come and take the stuff out.
Come and tidy up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can take it to recycling for you. Right. I don't know about you chaps, but I'm getting low.
Oh, yeah.
So shall we take a tea and wee break for a short interval?
Absolutely happy. Yeah.
We'll come back. So I'll just get up my my tea and wee break video.
I'll leave something. Well, have a look at this. I want people to tell me what this is, please.
Hang on a second. I'll stop. I'll remove that because we don't want that yet. What have you got? What?
That's right. I was going to show you this. I want you. What do you think this is, people?
Oh.
Tell me what you think this is.
Is it for back massages?
Oh.
Or cleaning brains?
Didn't somebody call PKO?
It is indeed PKO time. We'll see you back. Take a short 5-minute break for 10 minutes. See you back here in half an hour. Yeah, like that. All right. Yeah, very good. Very good.
That's easy.
See you in a moment. Alrighty, welcome back. Don't really like the music. That's enough of that. Kill it. It's a really ungraceful ending. Sorry about that. I keep apologising because we keep doing it every week, and I haven't yet had a chance to go and fix it. So if you remember last week, we were telling you that we would be a whole team of people in Guernsey making 3D printed headbands for face shields or visors for medical professionals and healthcare workers and so on. We started the whole thing probably 2-3 weeks ago, and our primary request was from the intensive care or ER emergency room department of the hospital. We were asked for 600 face shields and visors. Well, I'm really pleased to say we've probably cleared now about 1,200. We've been able to get them all the way through the hospital, although we're hearing from some departments that they haven't filtered through the hospital yet, but we're working on that. And now we're turning our attention to care homes, nursing homes, residential homes, and the response we're getting from them is overwhelming. There's just not enough PPE, personal protection equipment, flowing through to them, and so they're working with the most vulnerable people in our community, arguably, and they haven't got much protection for the staff or their clients. So we're really up against it right now to really ramp up again. We're kind of stopping the 3D printing, however, of the bands. I don't know if I've got one here I can show you, but what I can show you, if I lummox my way over the background there, what we've got here, this takes a sheet of plastic that fits on the pegs at the front there. If you can see those, a piece of, we've been using 1mm PET-G plastic. That goes on the front there. And then this has hooks on the side for either buttonhole elastic with holes in the middle of it, or rubber bands, whatever you can get yourself handy to. And the reason for doing this is it allows airflow up through the front of the visor, so it doesn't all just steam up. It's not close to your face. And then if you're wearing a respirator, you've got room in front of the face before it gets to the visor. But this is interesting. This has been injection molded on island by a company that make ID, like pet IDs. They started out quite a few years ago, Guernsey company called ID Port. Shoot myself. But they made like cat flaps that have an RFID reader in them, and your cat wears a collar or has it implanted, and when your cat comes up to your cat flap, they come on through, but any other cat can't get through because they haven't got the ID tag with them. So these guys have been amazing. In the time that we've printed probably about 1,200 of these, 3D printed them, they take about, depending on your printer, between 2 and 5 hours each to print. They can now churn these out in about, I think what was quoted was about a minute and a half each, which that's manufacturing for you. And it's really interesting that it shows the clear difference and benefit of 3D printing. With 3D printing, we could share the files around probably about 30 people printing on the island at the moment, and say, print this and then bring them here and drop them off. And that was a very fast way of ramping up. But of course, to make injection molding molds, it's quite an intense machining process. So they've taken a couple of weeks to sort that out. In the meantime, we've produced 1,200 or so. But now they're ready to go, and they can churn these out every couple of minutes. We've got a bit more supply on the 1mm plastic visor. We're using PET-G visor. PET being the same stuff that water drinks bottles and stuff are made out of, and the G apparently is glycol, so I don't know what the difference is, but it's called PET-G. But then the thing that we're onto now, I'm trying to look around. Hang on a second, I'll unplug for a jiff. Hang on. Oh, I should have prepared this beforehand, shouldn't I? So, show you this. This is something. So, Another local company. Thank you, Mr. Motorbike. Local company who does sort of arty, crafty workshops and stuff. They had one of these desktop vinyl cutters, a Silhouette Cameo 1, and they've not long replaced it with the new one, the Cameo 4 or something like that. So they've donated this one to the makerspace, and we're able to cut acetate sheets. So we've got A3 acetate sheets, you know, acetates like from old OHPs and stuff, A3, and on the A3 we're able to get this shape out of it that has this cunning fold at the bottom, so it allows you to have sort of a condensation catcher at the bottom, so you're not dripping on the people that you're working with. A spacer across the top, and I haven't on this one put the rubber bands, but a couple of rubber bands. And it's surprising, even though it's flimsy jimsy, actually how robust, once you've got it rubber banded on it, and you don't have to put it on tight. It's surprising how robust it is, to the point that I went for a walk on the beach with JP the other day, and we had tickle fights, clambering on rocks, and a long jump competition. And at no point did I think, oh, that's coming off. It flimmies around, but it stays there. And of course, we can produce this in about 8 minutes, something like that, and it's almost kit build. And rubber bands, which we've had donated from the Guernsey Post Office. They gave us a box of 10,000 rubber bands. It's a lot of rubber bands. And then the other thing we're making, because we've had the request, is goggles. And I don't fully understand the big benefit of this, but I think maybe if you're wearing a face mask or respirator, then it's handy to have these. So we've cut these out of, again, acetate, and we can churn these out pretty quick, like a minute to cut each one. And then just joined on the end, one staple on the rubber to hold the rubber band, and then if you can see, I've just stapled over, not into, so it weakens it, but over the tab on the end, and that adds a bit of shape to it, and it makes it stand off your face, because otherwise, if you just put a piece of plastic across your face, you could do it with a piece of paper and seal it. It presses on your eyelids and stuff, and it's not very comfortable. But this just gives, it's not super comfortable, but it just gives, I know I'm attractive, just gives enough of a standoff. And we're doing those in small, medium and large at the moment. So that's quite exciting. Yeah, so that's where we're going now. And then the thing that, again, we're ramping up the 3D printers very soon. We're going to be looking at respirators. We've managed to secure a supply of filter material, very high grade industrial filter material, but only in small sections. So we're designing a face mask that can take that filter component and be form fitting. So we're prototyping all that in 3D printing. Whether we'll get to injection mold those or not, I don't know, because it's a much more complicated shape getting that. It might be that we have to 3D print them entirely, which means that as soon as we've got a design, we've got an awful lot of work to do in getting those up and out. I'm going to bump Dan and Rob back into the stream of things. Hello, chaps.
Howdy.
Very good.
Are you aware of anything happening in the UK like this, Dan?
I am. Actually, we were talking quite extensively about the work that you were doing with the 3D printing, which I saw on the last show that you were doing. I'm very impressed with that design, allowing the air to flow. Obviously, that's a critical thing. And those goggles, what a cool, simple solution. I mean, you know, not perfect goggles by any stretch of the imagination, but if you don't have any, they're much more perfect than not having them, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, for someone who's wearing glasses, that's a bit of a nightmare. But
Yeah.
We've seen from the hospital, they were asking us to make goggles as well as one of the care homes. But the hospital asked, I'm just remembering now, and what they'd done was a thin band, injection molding. But some people had played around with 3D printing this little band with rubbers around the back, and it was a piece of acetate. I don't know if I've got an offcut, and it you know, I don't know if you can see that, but it was just holding a piece of acetate, kind of loosely across the front of the face, with a few holes in the top to go through that band, which I can see that if there's a splash, it'll catch most of the splash. Obviously very comfortable to wear because it's not on your face hard, but it's of course very gappy, which didn't seem like a particularly good idea. So that's where this came from. The inspiration was taken from skydiving goggles. They have
that makes sense.
things.
Yeah.
And this pinch to add the bit of three-dimensional shape to it is just about enough, so that it's not comfortable. I wouldn't want to wear them forever. But
You
it's
want those
not wearing.
Have those in yellow for the full Ali G experience.
Oh man, yeah.
Booyakacha. You were talking about the care homes, and actually I'd just jump in there for a second, because we had some very sad news at the weekend. Patrick, who I'm working with obviously on the UK Shed show, his mum passed away on Saturday. So we, myself and Kate, edited the show that went out this morning, and Patrick has got so many inclusions in, it's wonderful. But they wanted it, both Patrick and his mum wanted the show to go ahead, but her death has been attributed to corona, and obviously the care homes are really suffering. It's literally captive, and once these things start up, keeping those levels of hygiene and preventing spread when people are much older and suffering from other respiratory diseases anyway. And also a very dear friend of mine, Maro, lost his mother on Saturday. Sunday was a strange day, and the ladies of a certain age, but nonetheless it was at this time there's a real sadness connected, because people don't get a chance to say their goodbyes as much as they might like. And
yeah, that's one of the sad things it's said about
our thoughts to Patrick and Maro and family, and anyone who's going through any issues at this time.
Absolutely, yes. Thoughts are with you, Patrick. I learned a couple of days ago that a school friend has it. He'd just come back from honeymoon, and within a few days was feeling rough. Phoned the helpline. We didn't fit their criteria for taking it seriously. A few more days of feeling very rough, and eventually he had a test, and he's tested positive, and he's coughing his lungs out almost continuously, and it's a dry cough. And
all power to him for a swift recovery as best as possible. Yeah,
thoughts are with you, Paul, and your wife and the daughters that he can't see. He's in complete lockdown in one room in his house. Can't see his wife or his kids. So on so many levels, it's really hard to deal with. But it brings it home.
It does. Yeah,
it's very close.
That's what happens if you get a child that gets it, then that's really bad, because they just go off. They don't know where they're going or what's going to happen to them.
Yeah,
it's a bit scary.
Oh, little ones. Yeah.
Well, they've said that about this whole thing is everyone dies alone because of it. You can't get anywhere near them to be with them, and it's tragic. But that's enough COVID for now. We've had a comment in from Mick Arthur. Mick Arthur said, "Hi Marcel, any golfers in your shed?" Well, hello Mick, glad you could join us. Rob, do you know of any golfers in our shed?
I can't think of anybody that golfs. No.
I think Derek.
It's only the elite that play.
The elite.
Isn't it the elite that play golf?
Well, that's why I'm looking at Derek.
Or ex-footballers. You see a lot of ex-footballers playing golf. They still want to chase a ball around the green bays.
But slowly.
They're the only ones that can afford it, aren't they?
That's possible, yeah. Yeah, especially in Guernsey. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but it's expensive over here. And you've got to pay for the clubs and stuff as well, and the tennis rackets and all that business.
I think I played 3 times in my life with my uncle and my dad many years ago, and I love the walking, and I love the trying to hit a ball. most of my chipping was spent in the back garden in Peckham, trying to chip balls over the railway arches, which was a very stupid thing to do. And I've learnt now that I should never have done that. And indeed, the neighbour did discover a golf ball in their porch because it jumped off the brick at one stage. So there, I'm sorry, it was a long time ago.
Wow.
I was young and foolish.
I always find it difficult to get into the little lighthouse and for it to come out the other side.
That's my favourite bit, actually.
I had an old scoutmaster who used to work in some offices in town where cars could pull up outside. And I think they were on the second or third floor up with their offices. Summer's day, windows are open. And in their office, every now and then, they just had a penchant for tossing things around and throwing things around the office. And it might be a scrunched up bit of paper or something like a cuddly toy. Somebody threw a golf ball around the office, and they were playing catch with a golf ball. And then it went just sailing out through the window. And there was a delay as it fell 30, 40 feet. And there was this most incredible noise, which he couldn't really describe, but I can only imagine went and a squeal of brakes. And what had happened is, as the car had come along, and the ball had dropped just in front of the car as the car drove over it. Now there's 30 or 40 feet of energy, and they're quite good bouncers, aren't they? So it would have come up another sort of 20, 30 feet. All of that energy in that little ball is now compacted within sort of, 8-10 inches. So this thing went. You can only imagine the noise. So they all peered back in again very quickly.
We used to throw them in a fire once upon a time, because they're all made of elastic bands, aren't they? And they sort of go like that, sort of explosive way.
They used to be a source of really good rubber for making wind-up rubber aircraft and stuff like that. But a couple of years ago, I got into that with JP, and there's lots of people who sell, sort of reconditioned or reclaimed or just golf balls. Like hedge veg. We have a Guernsey thing called hedge veg, where people grow stuff, put it out of the hedge in a ball, honesty box. Well, people also do that with golf balls, which is a bit puzzling. But we went and knocked on a guy's door who sells this stuff and said, I'm just after one because we want to take it apart and get the rubber. Took it apart. It turns out they're solid now.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I don't know if some of them are still wound, but this one was solid.
Things change as we get older, don't they?
They used to have a little packet of paint or something in the centre of them.
Paint?
One time. Yeah. When you take all the rubber off, there's this very small packet of coloured. I don't know if it was paint or whatever it was.
You can tell the kind of people we are, that we know what's inside golf balls. That's really strange. I seem to remember like a little core of kind of timber or plastic or something.
Yeah. But this one we did, it was like a liquid. It was like as thick as paint would be.
Interesting that it should be liquid.
Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating. So if any one of our watchers, viewers, that sounds weird. Any one of our viewers knows what's inside a golf ball and why, that would be good to find out. But yeah, I think they're mostly made solid these days. But if there are some that are wound, I would still like the rubber. So, if anyone knows what brand. Now, Derek's chipped in. We were talking about shed clean-outs before and getting the burglars in. But of course, he's right in saying that the burglars have to stay at home. They're on lockdown too.
Good
just
point.
Like the rest of us.
Aren't they a necessity?
That's my livelihood, yeah. And then, Derek, I'm afraid I don't understand what you're saying. A piece of Christmas tree. And then I also don't know what you're saying. Wrap your cat in tin foil and it can't get... Okay. Come on, Dan. You need to...
Put your rings on.
I'll just interject quickly there. You were talking about something to do with Mac or something to do with restaurants or McDonald's. Something like that came into mind. Something you mentioned, and I don't know what it was. I saw something on Facebook the other day, and they said, I kid you not, that if McDonald's miss out on using the Return of the Mac song when they get back in business, they would have seriously missed out there. That's the one to go for.
Very good. That's your song for any moment.
Return of the Mac. There you go, one. Or Old Mackie's back in town. Yes. So,
yeah, okay, yeah. So this thing, what is your thing?
well, look, the reason I've got this here is because, well done. Who is the gentleman who said that?
It's Derek.
Right.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to get that nice and close up. But I mean, if you can't admire the beauty in nature by looking at the way these things are made, this is
Wow.
every year. This is from 2018, and every year I basically dissect my Christmas tree in place, so all the bits go in a bin and it doesn't get drop needles everywhere. And I was just staring at these, and I thought, I've got to make something. So I made a kind of a little worry toy type thing, like a little worry toy. And then in 2019, something happened because my Christmas tree was a bit of a mutant. So this is my 2019 one, and if we look closer, look at that, and that's all completely natural from that. And I just, as I took as I stripped the bits off the sorry, I just had a strange pop-up come up. Can you still see me? Oh, good.
Yes.
So the face slowly uncovered itself. So I kept it, but they had this ridiculous horn on the back. So my daughter, who's very clever at this sort of thing, there.
Oh, that's cute.
Isn't that great? I don't know what his name is. Anyway, yes. So when you're next disassembling your Christmas tree, have a look at it and think, I wonder if I was to chop here and here. And they look great on the sideboard. I can assure you, they're lovely.
Well done, Dan. Nice one.
Oh, Christmas trees.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, actually, yeah. Derek was very close. Yes, it is. Yes. Well, yeah, you're right. Yes. Very good. Very good. And then Derek is also chipping RFID, and I don't know the context to that. Has anyone got an idea of what Derek's on about? No.
What was it? RFID?
Yeah. Radio frequency identification.
Oh. One of your chaps was talking about that last.
The pet port. The guys who are injection molding these. Yes, it's RFID. Yes. We're piecing it together. Just coming back to Mick's question of have we got any golfers in the shed? I'm not sure. I don't know of any. But I assume you are. Mick, let us know.
I've got a feeling Mick might have left a comment on a Facebook post last week in your show on something that I'd put there, and he asked about golf then. And he was saying that his golf course was open and allowing them to go out singly or something, which was lovely to hear. I mean, it's still a nice walk, isn't it? So that's, I suppose, as long as you have to sort of touch the flags and things, I suppose.
It's only going to be people that got time on their hands, and the only person I can think of is Alex.
Yeah, we certainly don't have time now.
No time.
Alex does.
Righty. Rob, can I bump you off just for a little bit?
Yeah.
And
see you later, Rob.
See you, mate.
See you in a bit. Stick around.
Yeah.
We'll have a chat with Dan. We've got photographs for Dan, so let me just see if I can shuffle those in the background.
So I'm not looking at a computer screen. I'm actually looking at my phone. And what have we got now? Aha!
However, I'm going to take that off.
And
I'll remove that, and I'll just get it to the right place, because at the top that's the picture we had before, and let's bump this one in. Ta-da!
Oh, look, that's me before my beard grew. I had a very long beard and hair before that, and that was actually the last picture I took when I was shed leader at Westbury Shed in our lovely little unit just up the road here. And it's just such a great little space that was. It was like one of those sort of continental petrol stations of the old days, where that was the look we tried to get, like putting, hanging odd things up here and there, and so that was my goodbye and thanks. And because I ran, I founded Westbury Shed and was a shed leader there constantly, so I had two full days a week. Wednesday mornings at the allotment, Wednesday afternoons in the shed, Saturday mornings in the allotment, Saturday afternoon in the shed, because we started with an allotment. And it absolutely changed my life. I mean, it was wonderful. You'll know from your own experiences just how much it does. And so that's pride you see there. That's me being very proud and sad to leave, but I had to allow the project to continue on with others. And if you hang around for too long as a shed leader, you don't want to step on any toes. You want to let people get on with it their way. But I'm still so involved with many of the individuals involved, and it's I might get involved again. Who knows what tomorrow brings.
Good. Let's step through some of these other pictures. What have we got going on here?
That was the opening of Westbury Shed with Mayor Stephen Andrews, and we set up a chain, and I got a set of chain cutters for him, bolt cutters to open the shed with. So that's Stephen there, yeah. And I was wearing my shorts. Look, it must have been warm that day.
It must have been at least 20.
My hair was getting out of control at that stage. I think that's what happens when you. I mean, look at your beard, Marcel. I don't know how long you've been growing that and when you started, but when I started the shed project, there came a time where Movember turned into Decembeard, and then and then it just carried on for about another 18 months until I was out of control with a man bun and everything. It was ridiculous.
Oh well, blimey, yeah. If it went as far as a man bun,
I'm afraid it did.
Did it take the family to sit you down and give you an intervention?
Well, I've still got it actually. When I cut it off, I kept it somewhere just in case I need it one day. And on the subject of man buns, look at my daughter just came up with for me.
Ooh, hang on. Let's have a look.
A little homemade chocolate cookie there. Look at that. Very nice.
Very good. Well done. I'm afraid I haven't been able to persuade JP to do any more cooking.
Oh,
after our little flurry with scones the other week.
Oh yeah.
He's dried up, and
I jotted a little message down to JP to see if he could look up Westbury CHP on YouTube. Now, it's fine if he can't; it's not a problem. But the reason I mentioned it was looking at Bob's wonderful Fergie, because one of the projects I did for a client of mine about 12 years ago was to restore a Lister 6.1, and then we installed it in a garage in his house, soundproofed. And we connected up the cooling system to I don't know what's it called, thermal store, and we had a generator running off it, and he had an inverter there, so he was actually combined heat and power, genuine unit, and so much copper. I think we had no copper left in the county for a couple of months after that. But it was a wonderful project, and there's a video I put on YouTube of that, and I just thought Bob might appreciate that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and anyone else interested, combined heat and power? Westbury CHP is a YouTube search.
That's it.
Thanks for that, Dan. Very cool. Let's step on. You've got a garden at your shed.
This was that's me in the blue, and Brian Stanley, who's just holding that very long level in a sort of a Tony Hancock sort of way. He's just waiting for me. It's brilliant. This was when we first started off in Westbury. We were encouraged by Wiltshire Council, who had a tick list at that time to try and set up men's sheds, as they were calling them, and I'm still to this day I call them community sheds, because I think that's really important to me. It will certainly be a shed mostly full of blokes, and on certain days it might be all blokes, but I think we just call it a community shed, and then we don't have to put up with any of that language nonsense ever again. But for me that's an important point. But we couldn't get, it took us 18 months to get our first building. In fact, that shed behind Brian is our first building. It wasn't the shed, it was the only shed we had though. And so this is our double allotment, which the Wiltshire Council allowed us to take on board. And it was everything was, every time we put a spade in the ground, there was a bit of concrete and reinforcing rod, 18 inches down. And some of the guys we had there, like Chris, and he'd done a lot of proper gardening in his time, double digging and everything, and he wanted to do it properly. In fact, so properly that we just let him get on with it sometimes, because we couldn't keep up with him. He was amazing. And so he'd do this double digging, and it literally was like you know, and you couldn't get anywhere. You know, this was my fault for deciding to excavate a trench to see what was there, and then we ended up building a polytunnel over the top of that later on, and we buried 2 IBC tanks, what are they, 1,000 litre tanks, in that trench. So we actually ended up digging down about 6 feet to make a heat store, which went underneath the polytunnel. Yeah.
Good idea. Very cool.
Sorry about the commentary. And I've got a number of photographs there, we're so random. I'm sorry, it was random today because my brain is so fried from doing this show yesterday that I just tried to get as many up as possible.
That's all right.
But what we see here is something that, again, this all comes down to communication. I was very aware when I started up the shed that many people who'd made the initial approaches and made a phone call or maybe sent an email or something, but you know, they weren't in a position to come through the door yet. They weren't ready. This is something that I've come across a lot. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah.
And if someone does come and they happen to come on a bad day, and you've got particularly your, shall we say, your loudest shedder might be there, or possibly your most willing to express his own stories type shedder happens to be there that day, and they might have had a bad experience and think, oh, I can't go back. And you still need to keep everybody in contact.
Yeah.
You never know. So it was always my idea to try and formulate whatever we'd done in the last 2 or 3 weeks, put a little thing here together which I called Shed Bites, and it was just an A4 thing which you could email to somebody in the body of an email, and they were kept in contact with everything that was going on in the shed. So there was no time when anybody couldn't just wander into the shed and say, oh, I love that thing you did the other day, and it's instant conversation starter.
They're up to speed.
Instant, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's what Chris called the shedopment. He didn't call it the allotment. He insisted on calling it shedopment. And we've got young Radek up there who was helping us. We did a Christmas meal one year. It's there. There's the table set up at the bottom there,
Nice.
and that was great fun. Radek, you've never seen anyone prepare a tray full of prawn cocktails like Radek. He's absolutely meticulous. Everything had to be perfect.
Wow. Very good, very good.
Now here we see one of our
that imposter in the red suit. Who's he?
Well, that's not me. I'm not in that picture. I just like to say. We have two ladies from our town council. They're dressed up as pixies or elves, and that is that's the grotto that we had from our Christmas fair, and that was a shed job. So that was an early shed job that we did, which we all sort of pitched in and put the thing together. And some people came in and showed us their very special painting techniques.
And has this been something you do every year now?
It's used every year. Let's say so. My involvement directly with day to day with Westbury Shed. Pardon me for eating my biscuit. It stopped in so just over 2 years. No, 2 years ago now. So I was involved day to day every day for 3 years, and then I stepped back in the last 2. But this is still used. We did it for the town council, so I managed to get them to contribute some money towards some materials, and we made this for them, and then we set it up and we ran it first year, and I think they've taken over responsibility for running it now. So it's a fascia that goes on onto a gazebo, and we had the gazebo because we'd got some local area board money to buy this very professional gazebo to do like little local shows with and things.
Nice. Yeah, we've been talking about picking up a gazebo so that we can go to a lot of street markets and such, and what have you.
It's worth getting the good ones.
In Guernsey, there's often in the summer a seafront Sunday, and every Sunday the seafront gets closed, and each one is themed or organised by a particular organisation. The chickens are trying to way in again.
Chicken Cam. Go to Chicken Cam. Where's Chicken Cam? You don't have to, sorry.
The chickens are restless.
I was loving Chicken Cam.
Yeah, so we're looking at doing that for all of our sort of turned and otherwise manufactured goodies as a way of simultaneously giving us something, an engagement, something to do, but also an outlet for the stuff that we make, and then an income stream.
Brilliant.
And it's good exposure. You're out very much in the public.
It's fantastic. And we had little projects like with our gazebo where we'd have a biscuit tin full of little identically shaped pieces of wood, and you just get a piece of glass paper, finish it up, put a key ring through it, put a Westbury Shed stamp on it, pound, off you go, everyone's happy. And it was lovely, and it keeps people busy. And when people are busy and not just sort of staring around like this, saying no one's stopping here, everyone's actually doing something, which was great.
I've got this, I'll share it here first. I've hardly ever spoken to anybody about this.
Are you sure?
But I'll share it publicly, because if someone else picks this up and runs with it, then that's awesome. But I've got this grandiose dream of turning the shed at Christmas into Santa's grotto, Santa's workshop, and getting a load of guys dressed in the right sort of clothing, not necessarily dressed as comedy elves, but in the right sort of ambient clothing, all making the sort of a production line of wooden toys. And there's some guys painting and some guys cutting wood, and this whole production line. Whether we put a grotto, a Santa's grotto in there or not, I don't know. But I love the idea of having all the guys working on making a train or something like that, and then the children who come round at the end of it, they get to take home one of these trains.
Fantastic, with the shedders on it.
What fun, we've got all the people, we've got all the tools, and the materials needn't cost a bomb.
No.
Particularly if we recycle all that sort of stuff. But we can laser cut, we can CNC cut, we can lathe, turn, all sorts of levels of machining and painting, and it could be a really lovely thing to do. And get your mulled wine and mince pies in as well, and
perfect.
Bob's your uncle. So just
it's perfect. It's a lovely idea. I mean, what a shed's about if they're not about fun. I think adults. I used to say to because some people obviously are much more serious than other people, and no, but I want to get this CNC router and I want it done a certain way, and then there's the PPE, and then there's this, and then there's that. And that's fine. Everybody's got their place, but adults are allowed to have fun, and in a way, it should be compulsory because we're sort of conditioned not to, and it's really important to. It's great. So yeah, go for it. I'll come. I'll enjoy that. Yeah. Oh, now said IBC tank. That's me in a hole.
Got you. Yeah.
Now the only trouble was we dug this hole, and it had two IBCs next to each other underneath the decking. In the polytunnel, the idea that they make a thermal battery in effect, because the water table is always, I can't remember, my head's a bit fuzzy now, but it's always slightly warmer than what's above. Now we started digging this hole when it was all nice and dry, and that went beautifully until we found a clay pipe, and we thought, what's this clay pipe doing here? And it turned out to be a field drainage pipe from the football field on one side. So as soon as the rain started, everything filled up. And of course, as soon as something gets wet, so this is my advice to anyone who's digging a hole, like Bernard Cribbins. If it's dry, get it done. Get whatever you want to get in it, and then stand well clear. Don't leave a hole half dug as a project. It's, number one, very dangerous if anyone should fall in it. And number two, they don't like water. So we battled. All the work was done in about 3 days, and then it took about 3 weeks to finish it off because of the water.
Oops.
Right. So this is good living on the allotment.
Lovely.
So this is a goodness, because this is about 4 years ago now, and keyhole garden, that's what it's called. So the wooden structure that you see ahead, all the wooden structure, it was all cedar cladding that came from a friend of mine's barn in Box, near the Box Tunnel up here. You must have heard of the Box Tunnel, so it's not a million miles.
No.
It's one of it's on the Great Western Railway, one of Brunel's great tunnels that he built. And this friend of mine had built a barn, and unfortunately he'd failed to ask the council if he could, so it ended up having to be destroyed, which is a great shame. But on the plus side, we got a lot of timber, so I started making things, and we were working at one stage with the TV gardener Toby Buckland, who got involved. I think we met him at we met him at one of the functions where we had our gazebo up, and he was involved there, and he was involved with this. It was like Send a Cow. It's an African charity, and they were encouraging the making of these keyhole gardens. So you have a compost bin in the middle, and that one's actually in a kind of an H shape. You can only see half of it, yeah. So effectively, you put the compost in the bin in the middle, and all you do is you keep watering the compost, and it permeates into all aspects. And after one or two seasons, you get all the everything sort of flows through, and the worms take over, and it's a very good way of gardening, and at wheelchair accessible. That was a wheelchair accessible allotment as well. And of course, we've got a little fire. You've got to have a little fire.
That. Yeah, the top of the gas can. That's a great idea.
It was, until I wasn't there one day, and they. And next time I came in, it wasn't a little fire anymore. It was a burnt piece of wood with a pan on, sitting on the dirt. But we replaced it into a little seat, and everything was fine. There you go. Said produce. Exactly exactly the way it would appear in our one of our little shows that we would do.
Very cute.
And that's me. And said Chris, I was talking about earlier. Chris has actually moved away from Westbury now. He's greatly missed, because he was very much involved at the allotment. We had lots of fun together down there. We're still in contact via Facebook. But this wasn't a staged photograph at all. This is no. It's just completely natural. Oh, look, there's a pumpkin.
Did you creep up on them?
We did. We did. In fact, the pumpkin we took to. There's a local riding school, and for people with learning disabilities that go along there, and it was coming up to Halloween, and so we took the pumpkin, we carved the pumpkin, we took the insides out. I made pumpkin soup back at home, took it back, and they all had pumpkin soup out of that. That was a lovely thing.
Smashing. Good one.
Miss Chris. I miss him.
Shout out to Chris then.
Yeah, shout out to Chris Baker. So this is the little thumbnail icon for the little video that I made at the weekend, just to accompany some of our footage from audio footage from talking to, name escapes me, terrible, Michael Trojan, who's I don't think he's called a CEO. He's just like the head of Honolulu Men's Shed, which is right on the dock along from Waikiki Beach. And so yeah, this was again, I think I posted this on your Facebook, the actual video. So if you see this picture, folks, click on the little diamond in the middle, which will be there, and you will see a little snippet of our chat with Michael, which was great. I mean, eye-opening. Everyone's going through the same things all around the world, and some of the chats. I
remember him pointing from his apartment to the bridge that runs across the river there. And he said at this time of day it would normally be streaming with rush hour traffic.
Yeah, it was rush hour.
One vehicle.
It was 8 o'clock in the morning, so it would have been rush hour there, and there was just like one vehicle on it. Yeah,
astonishing. Yeah, amazing. Very cool. Now let's get on to these Skittles.
Yeah.
So you said it was how many years ago now that you bought the business?
I think it was 2008. I think that George Mason, lovely fella, now deceased, long time ago now, 2012 he passed away. So God rest his soul. He knocked on my door and said, "Do you want to buy my Skittle business?" And I said no. And then we got chatting, and then. Well, I didn't have any money to be fair. I mean, I've never had any money to buy anything. So when somebody says, "Do you want to buy my business?" the automatic answer is going to be no, because I just don't have any money. It's as simple as that. But when I went into George's workshop and I had a cup of coffee with him, or he had a chat, I looked to my left and I saw a start right planer thicknesser, and I looked to my, was it right or left, or I looked to the other side and I saw a start right bandsaw, and then I looked back at George, and then I looked down and I saw this old German lathe, and I sort of said, "So does this stuff go with it, George?" And he went, "Oh," and he's one of the few people that actually said this. He went, "Who are?"
Lovely.
And I swear to you, he did. And whenever George said, "Who are?" you know, he meant, "Oh yeah," just like that. And it was wonderful, genuine West Country wonder.
Lovely.
Yeah. And what we're looking at here is right at the front there is that's the company's called Durapin, and he actually invented these because he used to turn timber skittles years ago, and he had a connection with a sports shop somewhere, and they said, "Oh, they keep splitting these skittles and they're not reliable and they're different weights and all that kind of thing." So he went, "Ooh, I'll come up with something there. I'll sort that out for you," and he did, and he spent about do you know, I think it was about 10 years sort of research and development, making his own steel molds on this German lathe. And what you're seeing there is what the cores are made of now. This is all completely recycled because we've got a stairway joinery company, and they chuck all of this stuff out. So that's 22 mil MDF. It just sits on a pallet outside their place. It would get burnt or thrown. So I get all of the core material for free.
Cool.
This is a little jig, so you can see on the right there's like the way the cores are made before they're plastic coated, and they're made in that blocky form. And then that's a little jig that I made to go on the bandsaw so that you can push the skittles through, turn them through 90 degrees, push them through again, and it sort of pre-shapes them ready for the what's it called, the copy lathe.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is the injector. So anybody does
injection molded.
It's transfer molded is technically the term, but yes, it is. That people might recognize who've worked in the car business. That's a standard hydraulic press.
Okay.
So up at the steel bits on either side is a standard hydraulic press, and that's the steel mold you're looking at there. So that's great. You've got that zoom function. I'm very impressed.
I've only just realised I can do that. Yeah, really.
So there are 4. Basically, George made 4 of these molds. So you're seeing a solid steel mold there in 2 halves. So it's all heating and cooling with plastic. So the core goes in the middle. There's a pin. You can't see a pin because there isn't one on that core in the middle at the moment. But that normally sits a little bit up in the air between those 2 points, the center, and then the mold comes in around it. The mold is then heated up. The plastic is transferred with the hydraulic press from above. Okay. It's injected all around the heated mold, and then it's cooled, and then literally turn off one, turn on the cooling.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's the most prehistoric process you've ever. I mean, it's like I always liken it to that film Metropolis from, was it the 1920s or something, when you've got all these robot-like people. The furnaces raise, and then they shovel some more whatever it is in a fire, and the thing crashes down. But I tell you, when you're making these things, you can't think about anything else than making skittles, because if you did, you'd burn yourself or damage yourself in some way. It's quite archaic. I made it as safe as possible, and it's great fun, and it's great for my mental health because it means I don't have to think about anything else. I just sit in there and make skittles.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Very interesting. Let's see if I can change picture now. Oh, going the wrong way. There we go.
Wrong way. Oh, that's
so this is the copy lathe, is it?
It is. It's a slightly. There you go. There you go. So in fact, it's the lathe itself is a very old German-made, I think East German-made lathe. You can't really see. It's hidden in the MDF behind, so you can't really see that. There's an MDF dust scoop above, which comes down, which is connected to my dust extractor.
Yeah.
And again, this is the copy lathe that George designed himself. So he designed this system with the plates and everything, and it's got a cable drive. So in fact, you can see a little piece of wood with something like 1200 RPM written on it there. Yeah. And that's because my friend came round with a rev meter the other day so we could figure out what the cable drive runs at. so that I can put a little motor direct in there at one stage, like a router motor, just get the RPM right. Yeah, it works incredibly well. I mean, you know, periodically a gear destroys itself, and I have to disassemble the gearbox, which is to the left of that picture. Yeah, it's hiding in there. Look,
what fun!
It's great, lovely equipment. And so most of the issue for me was taking it. You know, what do you do with a man's life in his workshop? I pity the poor individual that comes in after me, because I've got things squirreled away in my workshop, and it would take forever. I think I must have got rid of 3 or 4 tons of scrap metal from George's workshop, and then slowly, as I brought things into mine, because he was only about 12 doors down from me, I slowly brought them in and rebuilt them. Yeah,
nice. I know what you mean about going into someone's shed. We've had quite a few shed clearances, sort of people saying, my husband passed away a few years ago, do you want any of his stuff? And going in, and it's actually really emotional. I find it really emotional that just like the tiny things get to me. That ruler, for example, is on a magnet on that door cupboard.
Yeah.
Because you know that was his favourite ruler.
Yeah.
And when he wanted it, he would just, muscle memory, he would just reach behind him and grab that ruler and measure. And that one screwdriver that looks like it's pre-war, that flat screwdriver that's it's not with the other screwdrivers, it's in, like I say, it's on the cupboard door or something like that. It's in I just reach and I get my screwdriver and I open it and I put it back.
That's the ones you use to open the paint pots.
Exactly, yeah. And it's very personal. It's like, it's like the sort of thing that fits the man. You know, it's like a bit like a pair of shoes in that, you know, it's molded to his feet. Well, the shed is like that. When someone's been in their little shed for 50 years, it molds to them. And I know I'm being all wistful and
not at all. Not at all. I mean, the
point of that little rack of extra bits is only their arm's length away.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you know, that comes down to the all of that oldie worldiness and familiarity we tried to get in Westbury Shed. That I felt was I wanted people to be able to see the doors open from a distance, see stuff that could have been in anyone's shed, like an old beaten up sideboard that's been used for making things on for years with paint, you know, 1,000 different paint splatters on it.
Yeah.
And it's so important. It's great. And you do credit to as much as those things as you can. When people offer it to you, you say, yes, thank you very much. And then as shedders, you can have a wander around and you know, decide what's worth keeping and what you can genuinely recycle fairly.
Yeah.
And give that man's life, as you say, a fair going over in a nice, pleasant and respectful way. It's important. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So how many of these things do you produce a month, a year, a lifetime?
Well, it's not a big business. It's part of what I do. Say I'm a furniture designer maker by profession. But so the Skittles stuff is all to one side. And my workshop's only 20 foot by 20 foot. It's an old coach house. Sounds grand, but it isn't. And I probably make about, I don't know, 20, 30 sets a year, something like that. Not a lot. So it's just kind of, you know, it keeps me busy. I go collect the MDF from the stairway place, and then there's a process, and I've got that pile in my workshop currently. So in these times that we're dealing with, where we can't really do anything or go anywhere or get on with anything, not that seems to have affected us very much, Marcel. It's a different ball game for us. Yeah. Never been busier, but that's the show that we're doing. You know, I've got this pile of stuff ready to get on with, cut up and turn into pieces of wood, which then gets turned into cores, which then gets put in the mold, which then gets coated with plastic, which then can go up on a big shelf I've got. And then come the start of the new season, all the orders come to me via the internet anyway. And I'm very pleased to say most people pay by direct bank transfer these days as well. So it's easy. I don't even have to leave the house.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There you go. So that's a set of
what plastic is it?
That's a very good question. I think it's polyethylene.
Okay.
which is that the stuff they make plastic bags out of?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I
like
think it is.
barrels, those sort of blue barrels, like that's HDPE.
Right.
It's almost a waxy feel to it.
Yes, it has. Yeah, and they're not. So they come as clear, clear pellets in bags, and Flexarine, I think, is what it's called, the trade name. Bless him, George. When I first met him, I said, "What are they made out of, George?" He said, "Oh, there's plastic." And I said, "Yeah, what kind of plastic?" "Oh, it's plastic." And bless him, I hadn't realised, but he'd actually patented part of the trademark, and against the trademark was the fact that they were made out of this kind of plastic or something. So he didn't want to tell me, and so he'd get some what's the stuff you oh damn it, like the stuff you thin paint thinners, there you go, stuff you thin paint with, and rub the brand name off the thing so I couldn't tell. I mean, this was only in the first month that I knew him. He was just just protecting his baby, because he'd built this up for 20 years.
His IP, yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
we got on like a house on fire. It was lovely, and it was really an honour to know George Mason. It really was.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So that's a set of and that's the 4 shapes of Skittles,
Okay.
which are from I don't know. I'll go left to right, but I hope that's left to right for people watching too, because I've got a weird thing going on my phone. So the fattest one on the left is a Southwest Skittle. So a Southwest Skittle, that's 10 inches by 5 inches, and then you've got a Gloucester Skittle, the barrel shape. They roll beautifully, the barrel ones. If you like give that a tip from the top, it'll keep going. Chicong, 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 chicong. It's lovely to watch. And then the Swindon pin, which is the SWD, and on the far right you've got the Bristol pin, which a lot of people disagree with, because they say the one on the left is a Bristol pin, and that's what you discover when you get involved with the skittling world, is that you cannot please most people most of the time. You just try and do your best.
There's 4 of them. Which one do you
is.
want?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Basically, that's the choice.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
very, very cool.
There you go. That's when I was moving the press in place, and just sort of trying to get a booth there, for safety and stuff. Oh, we're back down gift to Guernsey.
Yeah, and that's the complete.
That's like a complete set in a case with in a crate, which also designed these pink rubber skittle balls, which upset so many skittlers. They go, no, the thing is, Dan, see, they play real nice, and so there's nothing wrong with them, right? They play real nice, but they're pink. See, that's the trouble. See, we can't have them. They were used to playing with black ones here. They always have. I get it all the time. But I don't make those. They come in from a fella up in up north of me, anyway, and they come in from Czechoslovakia. He has them made in Czechoslovakia, and then he passes them on to me, and they play very well. But yeah,
okay.
That's my little sideline business.
I don't know who you dealt with in Guernsey when you made up the gift to Guernsey, but there is a pub, and I can't think for the life of me what it's called now. Hampshire Lodge. There you go. Other pubs are available, although not at this time. And they have a Skittles alley. I went down there a few months ago for my sister's birthday, actually, and all the family crowded in, and we just, made some noise, and that was lovely. Really gentle social activity for an afternoon. It's a great way of just getting people together. And and it's not competitive. It's lovely.
No, it's great.
They're using like a very hard black wooden ball, I think, and the pins themselves are wooden, just pure, straight up wood.
The balls would have been made from lignum vitae, which is the one that was traditionally used, which sinks in water. I've still got some here in the workshop, and bowls would have been made from the same material as well. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, very cool.
Brilliant. And it was Tina at Sarnia Skittles Club, that I was dealing with in Guernsey, and she was lovely, and she was distraught, but she couldn't help me out because it was her players that decided they didn't want them after all. They sent them back again. But that's fine. I forgive them.
I must admit, and no offense at all, I quite like the wooden pins, and it has a very rustic feel to it.
Absolutely.
And there was another pub before they closed. Blind O'Reilly's had a. Was that the E&G? Actually, I'm going to bring Rob in because Rob will confirm this. Rob will know. There's Rob. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Rob.
Is he fallen asleep yet?
Yeah, I'm just well, I wasn't earlier.
Looking really comfortable there. Was it the E&G with
Yeah,
Blind O'Reilly?
D&G. Yeah,
Down
Blind,
at Samson's Harbour, and they had and it was what's that called? A Skittles Alley?
Alley. Yeah, Skittle Alley. Yeah.
I was thinking rink, but it's not a rink.
There used to be a league over here with it. There was some other pubs that had it as well. We used to when we went to Capel's Youth Club, we had one there. We made it up. It's good. It's a good game. That I think it's quite. It's nice and slow and enjoyable because
social, isn't
when you go to 10-pin bowling, it's far too specific on what you see. They got to have these jackets, they have these gloves that hold their hands right, and all this sort of thing. Whereas this is just a case of it's in a pub, have a drink.
Very rustic, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a lovely game.
I remember the one at E&G was pretty rough and rattly.
Yeah.
And actually, the grain in the wood over the years meant that if you bowl it this way, it would jump into the grain over there.
Makes sense, yeah.
But it's a bit like French boule or something like that, or such like pétanque. We've got quite a few pétanque rings, and it's played outdoors on gravel. And if you hit that bit of stone wrong, it bounces off to the side. And it's rustic, it's random. There's a degree of chance as well as skill. Really delightful.
Well, it's played from in the UK. There's a big area around sort of Birmingham and just below there where they play, and then in Wales it's played extensively, and then everywhere from sort of Bristol down into the West Country and around here. So it's big swathes, and where they've got skittle alleys in many pubs still. But obviously no one's going to pubs at the moment, and not allowed.
Yeah, we have to stick one in the shed. We got room.
Yeah,
that's an idea.
We've got room.
I've got a set with Gift of Guernsey stamped on them somewhere. I'll see if I can.
That's a nice freebie for us there, Marcel.
Oh, I didn't say no. Oh, it could be. All right.
Don't want those blony pink balls, though.
No, we don't want
No.
I'm sure we can give them a lick of paint. Yeah. Dan, thank you for that. That was really fascinating.
We're very welcome.
And as I've mentioned previously, I've come from wanting. Well, we've got two charities side by side, co-located, co-creating, Makerspace and Men's Shed. Makerspace started, in fact, the first Thursday of every month we meet. As a thing called, I didn't wear this on purpose, Lightbulb Nights at lightbulb.gg. Look at my boob. There we go. And we meet once a month, and we have short talks, conversational talks, much like we're doing now. And we have maybe a dozen people that turn up monthly, sometimes more, sometimes less. And it would have been this month, had we not been COVIDed off, it would have been our 8th birthday, which was really special because I always make a cake for our birthday, but I didn't have to make a cake, so that's possibly a good thing. But what I love about the Lightbulb Nights is they're always so diverse. We've had talks from a master goldsmith and his apprentice, right through to doing needle felting and having a go at it ourselves, through to credit card cryptography, chip and pin stuff, by a professor of cryptography at Cambridge University, through to clockmaking, through to actually Derek, who's had to pop off now. He sent us a message just saying I had to pop off. But Derek did a talk on slide rules because that's a bit of a thing for him, and he loves slide. Taught us how to use them.
I've got 4 of those. I haven't got a clue how to use them. I remember my dad using them.
Okay, we need to hook you up with Derek.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get Derek to do a slide rule talk. That's a good idea. He can come on and teach us about slide rules. That's your kind of background, I suppose, Rob. You play with slide rules?
Yeah, we had one years ago. My father had from Ronay's, which gave you the amount of concrete you needed for the size of what you wanted. So
quantities.
you would fix it into the slide rule, how deep, then you fix how long, and then you turn it over and you'd see what the width is, and below that would be the amount of concrete you needed. It was brilliant. I don't know where it's gone, but it was a brilliant thing because it was always right. It's always right. You think,
but you see, even if you don't know how to use one, it's exactly the kind of thing that should be hung up nicely in the shed somewhere.
yeah,
Somebody always will, won't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm with you there.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays you have to, I forget what they tell you to do, times it by so much, then take away this and do that, and then there it gives you the amount of concrete. But the slide rule was brilliant.
There's an app for that now.
There's an app. Yeah.
There is.
Go on your telephone. Oh yeah, your telephone.
So how many people, Marcel, have you got contributing towards your other calls now, like your hangout calls and things like that? Are people picking up more?
Not as many as I would like. I think we had 5 of us this last Saturday for our Saturday hangout. Obviously, Saturdays is normally a shed day for us, as well as Wednesday afternoons. So the hope was that that guys who would otherwise be at the shed could at least hook up for an hour on their video chat sort of setup, iPad, laptop, or whatever. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if you've got any insights into this.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, because obviously we're using StreamYard here, and this is the first time I've used StreamYard. It works brilliantly. Obviously, you've got the control center your side. You know what you're doing, and it's working really well. I've also used Hangouts, Google Hangouts, in the last few days with you again, and that was great. What we've been using almost extensively on for the UK Shed Show has been Zoom, though I have used a few other things. And this week there's been a lot of adverse reporting about security and encryption and all those kind of things. And all I wanted to say was, I did some research with both my brother and my stepbrother, who are both sort of computer professionals and have been sort of programmers, and they're interested in encryption. What can I say? So they know a little bit about these things. And yes, there are indeed promises have been made by Zoom which apparently haven't been met. And that means for somebody like my brother, who's an online therapist now, that creates a potential security issue. But it's only a potential security issue if the person that you are talking to doesn't disclaim. So if they disclaim and they say, no, that's fine, it's like a 1 in a million chance that someone's interested in this, great, carry on. So if there's a disclaimer, they can do that. Now, as with regards to shedders and communication, what's so important is that people communicate as much as possible. So my advice would be, don't worry about what you're using. Just have your conversations like you would in a shed, and like if somebody was overhearing you. So, you know, if you're going to have that kind of conversation in the shed, no one's going to be interested in it except you guys, and it's you guys that it's all about. So have fun and enjoy it, and don't be scared of the technology. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah.
This is we've been using Hangouts for our Saturday morning thing because it's free and it doesn't require applications on computers to be installed and stuff, which Zoom can do, I think.
Well, I think you have to install something, first. I think.
And that's what I quite liked about the StreamYard thing, is it's all just in a browser window, so no apps and stuff. And I can hook in with a phone just using its browser. Do you want to use the mic and the camera? Yes. Off you go. That's nice and easy. But the problem with this StreamYard thing is that you can only have up to 6 people on screen at any one time.
Okay.
Whereas with Hangouts, you can have 50 people, thumbnailing in, and then obviously you've got to manage the conversation at that point because you're talking across each other. But if it's
that's right,
a degree of coordination about who's talking and sharing, then you can all share in it, which is rather good.
What's that one podcast that's on your telephone?
Podcast is just audio streaming. I think they might. They might do video streaming as well, but it's just for audio streaming, like radio shows. In fact, the Shed Happens radio show, is that available as a podcast now?
It is, though not. I don't know whether it's official via UKMSA. Basically, I run a podcast myself called We Are the Weather, which is just about dealing with people's mental health and sheds and anything that comes to mind. Really, I only started it recently, just before this all kicked off, actually. And because I was all set up, basically you're stuck with an MP3 file that's like 2 hours long. Which you can't email to anyone. You try emailing that, doesn't like it. So I've uploaded it to my We Are the Weather podcast, which basically means it's a special episode. You can just listen on demand whenever you like, and we're putting those links out. And also UKSMA are doing their own ones, which will go out via the show page, which is also great. The show page is updated with all the information that's happened on that particular one, and the idea is that we get that very simple links on an email, so there's nothing within the email. All you see is your email when it arrives, and you've got a link. Click here for show 1 about this, click here for show 2 about that, click here for any information about, and so anyone that can receive an email can have access to that show with, and this is the rule, it's got to be, if it's more than 2 clicks, we're not going to use it. So it has to be really simple, and the point there is that the various associations who might get the information first can then send it out to all the shedders. All the shedders can then send it on to any friends or people they feel will be interested around the world, around the globe. Now, we're gonna do that with emails. Keep it really simple, because then it gets to as many people as possible. And the feedback we got from this morning's show, I can't tell you, it was so beautiful. It was lovely. It's getting quite real for a lot of people this now, and much as we're keeping things really light and also with balance and as good advice as we can give, and the connections we've had to shows like this one, which was because I saw this before we started our own one, and it was brilliant. So no, it's great. So yeah, I lost my thread a bit there, but I was going to say it came down to basically using the technology. Do use it, because it is fabulous. It's great, and we're going to make it simple so everyone can see it. Hey, you're back.
What happened there?
You disappeared, Marcel. I think it was something. I don't know what you did. You pressed the red button. I told you not to press the red button.
Not the red button. Sorry about that. I'm really glad that you're still here. This happened last week when Dave was speaking, and I panicked and I thought we'd lost everything. But actually, watching the show back, he just carried on talking, and I joined in, and I made a bit of a hash of it because I joined in with a flurry of panic. But actually, he was still just talking away and telling us all about wood turning. So it was very cool. Just like you've done, just carry on, just jibber jabber, jibber jabber.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what happened there. It said I had internet troubles. Rob, Dan, and then I dropped off as far as I could see it. Reload, unplug the network cable, and I don't know.
Mine every now and then goes blank. I just click it and it comes back again.
Hey,
Okay.
but Marcel, you were talking about doing long jumps on the beach earlier.
Yeah.
I was thinking if I did a long jump, my friend, it would be my last. I don't think I could do that. I used to enjoy that sort of thing. I don't think I'd do it now. My legs would crumble.
It was quite funny to watch us, I think.
One other thing I'd mention just about sheds is in the show we had today, there was a little section from Northern Ireland, and they were talking about they're doing what are they calling it? A befriending phone line.
Yeah.
And this has been set up across Northern Ireland, whereby they're setting up on one day a week. I think it's on a Wednesday between 10 and 1, and then between 2 and 4. Phone numbers that anybody involved in any of the shed groups can call, and there'll always be someone there manning the lines for a chat.
Cool.
Like a coffee chat, and I just thought I'd pass that on because that sounds like a real good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
The other week,
low tech.
The other week when I sent you and Ray about the lathe, I said I put that note on it saying not to use it. Yeah, the reason I put that was because we've had 2 lathes. We've broken 2 lathes.
Oh.
If you don't touch the lathe, you don't break the lathe. We had
Good
two
advice.
lathes. We had two lathes,
We
both
should-
of them.
Get it in a glass cabinet.
Yeah.
And we can look at it
Just look at it.
Uh,
But
with a notice saying this lathe works,
yeah.
but you can't touch it.
You'll never know if it works because you can't touch it. Yeah.
It's a fantastic lathe. It's got a router attachment to it, so you can do barley weave.
Oh,
and,
nice.
And you know where you do the twist where it's inside.
Hollow.
It's yeah.
Is that
When you see
thread?
what it can do, Marcel, you'll be amazed what it
Awesome.
does. And it's got all the equipment. It's all there, and it was free. He gave it to us.
Brilliant.
What a
Yeah,
blessing. Thank you.
That won't last.
Martin.
That won't last long. It sounds complicated.
More complicated than the others. So no.
To be fair, with the lockdown, this one's lasting longer than the other two have.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're right.
Very good.
We'll have it a bit longer. Yeah. Have we got the motor back?
Yes, it's with Dave,
Yeah.
but of course we're not able to fit it up at the moment. So, and I'd be happy for him to go into the shed on his own, but it's not going to be a one-man job
No,
because that thing weighs a ton. So be it. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Stuart Ingle just chimed in just before and said, "Hello, chaps." So, hello, Stuart. We're talking
Stuart.
lathes again, Stuart. And Derek, before he had to bob off, said, "I'm an ex-archer," and then he followed that by saying, "Archer hate golfers."
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what the hate is all about there, but
Well, hate in all its forms is entirely unacceptable, I'm afraid.
it is.
Mm.
Yeah.
How many forms of hate could there be? That's right. I don't know what I said there.
Golfer archer hate.
Yes, that one.
Well, unless anyone's got anything else to chime in, I think we'll call it a day.
No, it's been lovely. Thanks ever so much. I've really enjoyed it. It's been very relaxing and nice to meet you, Robert.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, gents.
Are you anywhere near Devices?
I be quite close to Devices. Yes, I be. I've got a good pay shop down there.
Yeah, we used to do Mark Wilkinson kitchens. We used to
Oh,
fit,
did you?
fit. Yeah.
Small. Was that Small Bone?
No, well, he was for Small Bone,
Yeah.
and then he started on his own.
Right.
And he's got a fantastic tree house.
Wow.
It's 30 feet up in the air in a tree.
Wow.
It's a very interesting place, Devices. It's fascinating with the canal and all going through it. So
it's a lovely place. If you're ever around there, it's a great place to be. Yeah.
Mm.
I know your area.
Long time ago. Seen all the locks.
Yeah.
How many is it?
Cane Hill, 20 something. I think. I'm not sure.
Astonishing.
I think it's 20.
Cool. Yeah.
I love a lot. They're very menacing. They're very menacing places at night. I'd not really thought about it. You know, you love your canal walks and you think, oh, isn't this beautiful? And oh, look at the water and the boats. But at night, when there's no, and you're walking next to these multiple locks, you want to fall in there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. Yikes.
So, what's your son's? Is it your grandson, Robert?
Yeah.
And what's his name?
That's I can't remember his name now.
Oh, come on, you're on the spot.
Finley.
Finley, happy birthday, Finley, for the weekend.
Happy birthday to
you.
you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday, dear Finley.
Happy
birthday to you.
I'll show him this. He'll be well impressed.
That's why Finley. Look, hold on. This guy says happy birthday too. There he is. Look.
Yeah, there he is. Well, he's a bit scary. That really.
Really? Oh, come on. He's not scary. Look at his arse then. Look at his arse.
Perhaps you need to take a photograph of that and send it to. I forgot this. Steve Barnard.
Okay.
Steve Barnard. I'm getting there. Who was on the other week? And
Steve and his little puppet. I know.
Oh, they're gorgeous, aren't they?
Yeah, no, he was great fun. Yeah, he's a lovely fellow, isn't he? Very, very, very
He
entertaining.
is. Yeah, really lovely. So yeah, you have to get up with him, and he'll puppetize it for you. He's got a very cool app that he introduced us to called Mug Life on the phone, and you can give it, a photograph, and then you can have it. It then manipulates the photograph in 3D to make it look like it's talking. And if you pay for the subscription, which we haven't done yet, you can. And if you've got the right phone, if you've got a really high-end phone, you can have the phone alongside you, and as you talk, it manipulates the puppet. So if you want to do like puppetry things, it reads your face and then reanimates this puppet. So you could have that character doing all sorts of stuff. It's astonishing. Absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. It's good. It was great fun, and the songs are great too. It's just that, it's lovely. We know these things take time, but we've got time.
Time on this side, eh?
Some of us have got time anyway. Yeah.
Time on our side.
Yeah. Well done for all that you do down there.
Yeah.
It's lovely to connect with you guys today.
Yeah, we'll be seeing you
Likewise.
again. 3 boys.
Adieu.
Adios,
Cheers,
amigos. Cheerio.
Hip, hip, cheerio. See you same time next week, everybody.
Once more to the breach to jump. Long jump, that was it.
Thanks, Dan, and your breeches. Brilliant. We'll call it a day. Thank you one and all for joining us. It's been a pile of fun on our end, and we are doing every Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. GMT through Facebook and YouTube. So do join us again if you ever get the chance. Until then, hooble toodle doo. Let's see if I can switch that off. Bye.